5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. The only thing we have to fear is fear.
Mile 18.
This is Endurance Nation.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Endurance Nation podcast. I'm Coach Patrick, your host on these different episodes that cover interviews with our members and with industry leaders, as well as regular topics that are pertinent to endurance athlete success. This time around, it's getting close to the fall, and I wanted to let you know that our season is kicking off on November 1st. That's right. Endurance Nation works through seasons, and our winter training program kicks off in earnest on November 1st. If you head over to endurancenation.us, you'll be able to enter your email address to get all the details about what's coming up and learn why starting in November is super important and how we can work with you over the course of the winter using our patented out-season program and the subsequent training phases of the year to create the conditions and knowledge you need to be your better and faster self. And if you're ready to get started early, can't wait till November 1st, we have a durability program for you too. So once again, head over to endurancenation.us, enter that email, learn more about what we are doing here over the course of the year, why Endurance Nation is different, why training with a team is the way to go, and how we can help make you successful. Until then, I look forward to hearing from you online somewhere, and sit back here now and enjoy this episode.
Endurance Nation.
Hey there, it's Coach Patrick from Endurance Nation, back with another Coach Videocast / podcast. This is our weekly series, so we do our best to help endurance athletes make smart decisions, become better, faster, and stronger, even smarter versions of themselves through just some daily dose of knowledge and reflection. In this episode, I'll be talking to you a little bit about donating / paying it forward. This is something that I think can actually be strategically beneficial for you as an individual, but also has long-term, bigger picture ramifications that I think is also helpful too. And so without further ado, let's dive into it. And this episode here specifically was inspired by practices for me related to how I clean things up on a seasonal basis. So I'm often, moving things out of my closet that I just haven't worn all year, have not touched those t-shirts or those shorts or that pant or that sweater or whatever I was gifted or whatever I have that I just don't use anymore. If I'm not using it at the end of the day, someone else could be using it or someone else can make a better choice around it. There are people less fortunate than I am. And while that may not necessarily hold true for your endurance gear, after all, you may have an extra Speedo laying around, but nobody really wants that. It is possible that some of the things that you have inside your training arsenal could find a better home. And if so, pay it forward. We do that all the time here inside the team, people sharing not just advice and resources and travel tips, but also gear and equipment that they're no longer using, sort of a virtual secondhand trade market of items, et cetera, that could be beneficial to one another. If we own one, then we all don't need to own one. There's probably some requisite element of sharing. For example, race wheels is an easy example. Wetsuits, swim skins have often traded hands here inside the team. So when we think about, for you, how do you approach this concept, right? So number one, let's go look at it from an equipment perspective and specifically equipment management. Just what are you not wearing anymore? There's probably some cycling jerseys or bibs or shorts or socks that you just don't touch anymore. You just don't use them, right? So let's gather up all the stuff that you just never wear, right? You just never find it in the laundry basket. And in that case, let's put that gear on the side here, right? Let's also take a look at, the versions of things that we just don't use. Like maybe you set out this goal of, doing winter running, but you just don't run outside in the winter. Like it's too cold. So you just have all this, long sleeve, long leg apparel that you're just not going to use either. Whatever those elements are, the ones that you opt out of wearing now, maybe you've gotten some new stuff or you're not into anymore, or stuff that you just never used before. Both of those should go into the same pile. And then based on what you have in the pile, that's when we go to your network. And we just say, hey, who needs stuff, right? In my case, who's new to cycling? I have all these cycling jerseys from charity rides that I will never wear. Who out in my network is cycling who could use a jersey? Not because they want to represent the charity, but because buying a bike jersey doesn't make sense until you already have a bike jersey. Because once you've ridden with a bike jersey as a new cyclist, you can't go back to riding without pockets and a zipper. It just doesn't make sense. But you won't know until you try. And so that charity, outfit, etc., becomes sort of a key catalyst in the developmental lifespan of a new person to cycling. Similarly speaking, there's people who may benefit from running shoes. I've only run in a couple of shoes once or twice. Someone else may want them. They're not donation worthy, although I could certainly do that. Someone else may actually want to race in these shoes. And, just for the cost of shipping, I'm not using them. They're just going to sit in my house. You should use them. Why should you spend money to see if these shoes work? We can do that as well, right? And that goes across the board for all of that type of apparel. So use your network, whether it's a digital or your local network, your local training club, and see who's there. You may find out actually that some people are willing to barter with you. We just found out in our recent office hours that one of our athletes has used TRX in the past, but is no longer using it because of some issues with his shoulder that he needs to resolve first. The TRX is just sitting there. It's been sitting there for 9 months. Somebody else could use that TRX. You could sell that TRX or loan it to someone, let them get some work out of it, and then either buy a new one or get it back. Either way, everybody wins in that scenario. And the more that other people win, the more that we win as well. And that's a good vibe and good karma, plus cleaner closet and cleaner gear area that makes everyone, including your significant other, much, much happier. So definitely something for you to think about. Bonus, if you start giving some of the stuff away, and then people have some ideas about stuff they can give away, or maybe they're also willing to come back at you with something that you may benefit from as well. So definitely a win-win scenario. In a similar vein, we can do this outside of just the materialistic things, but also look at experiences. The local race scene is a key part of any athlete's environment. Wherever you train, whether you're into the sport or not, having local athletics be a part of the agenda inside your town is actually super beneficial. So it could be a 5K race series. Maybe there's like an open water swim thing or a cycling race or some duathlon or whatever it may be. There's something happening in your neck of the woods. If not the town, then perhaps the county. And that's where people are getting together and exercising and celebrating the passion for just moving, whether it's someone who's new to the whole game or someone who's more experienced moving along that path. They're all great places for people to kind of dive into and get into like a better state of being through social engagement. And you can help make these events possible by reaching out to the event organizers and offering to donate some of your time. You don't always have to race all the events and support them with your dollars, but you can also say, hey, what events in my local area can I serve? Can I help at registration? Can I help mark the course? Can I help clean up? Can I run an aid station? Can I help spread the word? Right? Just by being a part and by sort of raising your hand and saying what's happening here is important to me and to, sort of the people inside of our community. Let's amplify this. Let's make it better. Just showing up and helping is the number one thing you can do. So call up and don't just pick a thing, but just say, how can I help? Like, where do you need someone? And then serve inside that capacity. Race directors, I can tell you, or event directors from experience, have lots of different hats to wear and are always looking for people who get racing, who understand what it means to be in an event, to be a part of the event, to help out, right? Having volunteers is helpful. Having volunteers who've never done anything in an athletic event before is nice, but does bring a fair amount of work with it as well. And we can solve for that on our own. Okay. And then also similarly, think about who you could help as well. So not just the events, but what people could use help as well. Now, some people are looking to learn, right? They're just getting into the sport and they may not normally jive with your training program. Hey, I've got to do an hour-long run. I know you're starting running and you're only going to run 10 minutes. It doesn't really jive with my plan. I'm not going to wait until 10 to run with you for 10 minutes. I'm going to start running at 9 because I got to run. Well, is there a way we can kind of do both, right? Can we check both boxes? Can we be a resource or helpful for someone and still achieve our own goals? I believe the answer is yes in many cases, especially if you time box it and say, you know what, I'm going to do this for December or January or whatever. It's not something you're committing lifelong experience to, walking around mentoring anyone who's jogging in place at a stoplight, which actually could result in a concussion or something severe. I think people jogging at stoplights generally want to be left alone. But from a helping perspective, there's people who are always looking to break into sport. And if you just rewind back to when you started your endurance sports adventure, there's most certainly a few, if not many, times when you were faced with making a decision with very little information and you were just kind of guessing, or it was just too awkward to ask. And so you just kind of winged it. That's okay. It's sort of, some might say that's just how you earn your stripes. But the belief inside Endurance Nation is that together we collectively have enough knowledge to make all of us better. And where else better to see this come to life than inside a space that's beneficial to you? So helping someone get better at cycling. In my world, that was helping some of the folks in town who participate in a local annual charity ride to raise money to fund cancer research. That's a fantastic way for me to help impact people who are into cycling and have to cycle a long distance, but don't have a ton of experience. Even little pieces of advice around fueling, nutrition, pacing, gearing, cadence have had profound impacts for people who may otherwise have never have really liked cycling and are now in, year 4, year 5 of this incredible journey and have raised, tons and tons of money for this research, which is incredible. And all it took was spending a couple minutes and kind of walking through that, taking a bike and explaining how things operate, how to maintain it, things like that. Super easy to do and something that many of you could do as well. So don't just think about the events that you can help, but also think about the people. Is there someone out there who's kind of making a break in? Is it a kid in high school who's maybe thinking of going to college and running, even though they've only played soccer before? Is it a neighbor who wants to get into being active? You've seen them with a bicycle. They're kind of struggling a little bit. Whatever it is, just raise your hand and say, don't be pushy. Just say, hey, I'm here to help. Like, you got questions about that stuff? Believe me, I've made all the mistakes and I'm happy to, give you some advice for whatever it's worth. Okay. Super easy to do, super low friction, but just having other people know that you may need help or having a resource, that's super helpful because most of us just go straight to the computer, straight to Google, straight to YouTube. But being able to ask someone in real life is actually really powerful, especially because you can do the follow-up questions, get more information, get context. It's awesome. And it's also sort of that first building block in terms of how we build community. So let's start with that. Giving back in terms of our things that you no longer need or use. And then also giving back with our time, whether it's to an event that really is meaningful inside your community or to you. And similarly to the people in your town who are new on their endurance/athletic journeys, who may need a little attaboy or just some quick advice to make sure that they don't ride 20 miles on that really flat tire that just took them this first 5, which was quite a struggle. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Coach Patrick here, signing off from another weekly Coach Videocast/podcast. Tune in every week on Facebook to get this. Find the recordings on YouTube. Connect with me on Twitter as well. All of that's available on our website at endurancenation.us. You can follow us on socials, or if you like, create a coaching membership. The first 30 days are money back guaranteed. I'll be happy to walk you through a season planning process and get you ready for that next big event. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you soon.
For more information about Endurance Nation, visit us online at endurancenation.us. The provided music is from the Podshow Podsafe Music Network. Check it out at music.podshow.com.